Welcome back to our channel. Today I'm going to explain a movie called Beta Test. Get comfortable. The film begins with an interview with a wealthy game developer, Andrew Kincaid, the CEO of Sentinel. Kincaid discusses his opinions about gun control and gun ownership in the U.S. Kincaid wants individual ownership and license to guns to be prohibited, believing video games will reduce gun violence and allow people to own and use guns at their will. He wants gun violence to be contained in video games. However, his security officer, Orson Creed, wants Sentinel to venture into military contracts. Kincaid believes that Creed is trying to extract his intellectual property and vows that it will be his last time. In the meantime, Creed and his wife, Abby, are ambushed and held hostage by Kincaid's goons. Elsewhere, beta tester and video game champion Max Troid receives a delivery for the latest Sentinel first-person shooter game. Max modifies games, allowing him to easily win and finish the game. However, his smart assistant warns him that he cannot modify Sentinel's new game because of its real-world features. Max opens the game and waits for the game to connect to its host server. In the meantime, Creed and his wife are held hostage, and a controlling device is surgically implanted in Creed's neck, allowing him to be remotely controlled. Abby struggles to free herself from her captives, who keep her hostage to ensure Creed doesn't come for them. As Kincaid's men leave, Creed regains consciousness, and Max's game finally starts. The device implanted into Creed's neck allows Max to control him, implying real-life Creed is the game's protagonist. Max notices that the game doesn't have any game menus or controls, unlike other games, but doesn't realize that the events happening within the game are reflected in the real world. Max controls Creed with his game console and finds a video made by Zane, Kincaid's chief henchman, threatening to hurt his wife unless he completes the tasks given to him. Creed has 90 minutes to complete each task. Simultaneously, Creed sees the video in the real world and worries for his wife's safety. Max realizes that real-life Creed is in trouble and assumes this is part of the game's mission. In the video message, Creed's first mission is to sneak into the bank undetected and retrieve a valuable item while a robbery is in progress. Max controls Creed to a car, surprised that he can only use items on real-life Creed in the game. He races off to the bank in the game as real-life Creed simultaneously does the same. At the bank, Creed enters undetected under Max's control and collects the keys to a deposit box from the frightened bank manager. The manager recognizes him, but Max needs to focus more on the mission. In the deposit box, they find a gun and a note that says Creed should kill the robbers and take the money. Real-life Creed panics, but Max continues to play the game unbothered. The smart assistant tells Max not to kill any hostages in the game and that he should not deviate from the mission, unknown to him that the assistant is aware that the game's events are real. Max kills the robbers and eventually takes the bags full of money, successfully completing the mission. When Max decides to take a break, he discovers the game won't pause and that his mission is on the news. The bank manager thanks real-life Creed on live TV for saving the hostages and killing the robbers. Max becomes worried as he discovers that the events in the game are happening in real life. Max tries to call the police, but the smart assistant stops him. Max panics, realizing he has killed many people in real life. He tries to turn off the game, but a video message from Zane stops him, warning him to keep playing as his life depends on it. Zane warns him that if he turns off his console, calls the police, or leaves the house, he and his girlfriend will die. Suddenly, Max finds a team of armed men around his house and the money stolen from the bank in his account. Max is left with no choice but to finish the game. In the next mission, Max is told to infiltrate a private school shooting and protect the shooter, or Abby will die. Max and Creed are uncomfortable with the mission but have no choice. Max arrives at the school and discovers the shooter is a student trying to save his mother from being killed by Kincaid's men. Max lets the boy go, realizing the boy is being manipulated, and leaves. He starts to cry, feeling devastated about his situation, as he doesn't want to be involved in any further crime. Max ends the goon's next video call, determined to end this madness. He phones himself in the game and asks Creed for his help. In the meantime, Kincaid holds a brutalized Abby hostage. She refuses to eat, and Kincaid reminds her of their time together before she met and married Creed. Kincaid taunts her but is interrupted by his chief henchman, who informs him that Creed and Max are breaking protocol, and Kincaid leaves, infuriated. In the meantime, Max leads Creed to his house and knocks out the armed men unconscious. Max orders his smart assistant to allow Creed to talk, and he reveals that Max's home was bugged by Sentinel, allowing them to spy on him. Creed reveals that every item he has received from Sentinel is used to spy on him. They remove all the bugs. Then Creed explains that he created the device on his neck called Control-X, which would allow the military to be more efficient in saving lives. However, Kincaid instead wanted to use the technology for his sinister agenda. Creed helps Max disarm the device and plant one of Kincaid's goons instead. On the other hand, Kincaid becomes frustrated and contacts Max. He explains that he chose him for his gaming skills and is disappointed in him for disobeying his orders. Kincaid threatens to kill Max's girlfriend if he cannot identify her from the rest of the other women on his screen. Max panics but eventually locates and identifies her, saving her life. Max and Creed then team up to stop Kincaid, whom Creed reveals intends to play God. Max frees Creed, allowing him to save his wife while he continues the game using Kincaid's goon as the new protagonist. Creed sets off to find his wife while Max plays the game, going rogue to entertain and keep Kincaid distracted. Shortly after, Kincaid receives news that Creed has arrived at the company. He orders Zane and his men to bring Creed alive so they cannot kill him. Creed fights them off in an intense fistfight and kills Zane, whom he used to be close friends with, by snapping and breaking his neck after initially sparing his life. Creed finally comes face to face with Kincaid, who warns him that his wife will be dead in an instant if Creed makes any attempt on his life. Kincaid reveals that he wants to attain power and leverage over the world through video games, allowing him to control anyone anywhere. Creed tells him he is delusional as he cannot have such influence over the world. Kincaid becomes infuriated as the two men yell at each other. Meanwhile, Max is held hostage by another of Kincaid's henchmen. Still, he controls the new protagonist to come to his house and save himself, attacking the henchman. Since the henchman cannot kill Max, he ends up fighting his fellow henchman, who kills him before he can be deactivated. Simultaneously, Kincaid and Creed fight each other as Abby sets herself free. Max leaves his house in Creed's car, racing to save his girlfriend. Kincaid and Creed battle each other in a sword fight at his penthouse, and Abby watches in fear. Max soon arrives at Sentinel, armed. Just as Kincaid is about to finish Creed off, Max arrives and hesitates to shoot Kincaid. Kincaid taunts him about being unable to shoot him because he is not a murderer. Max pulls the trigger and shoots Kincaid in the chest, instantly killing him and saving Creed. He helps Creed up, and they both leave. Sometime later, Max becomes the new CEO of Sentinel. He is unanimously voted as the new CEO by the board and is invited to speak at the same show Kincaid was previously on. Max tells the interviewer that he hopes to correct the mistakes made by his predecessor and bring back humanity to his consumers. Max explains that Kincaid was blinded by false illusions of power, which led to his ultimate fate. Max and Creed both watch his interview broadcast from their respective homes. As Max talks on the show, Creed is skeptical of Max's new leadership. Max, on the other hand, is impressed with his interview. That was all from the video. Subscribe to this channel to watch more content like this. See you next time.